Last question is always some variation. This is especially interesting since I'm talking to you at the debut stage, so we'll have to meet up down the road a bit, and I'll ask you this again and see if it's changed. But if you could go back 20 years ago to you starting off on your journey with the Summer of Luck or anywhere in your writing career, if you could go back and give yourself some advice that would have been useful to you, made easier your path, and might do the same for everyone listening, what would you go back and tell yourself?
That's a really good question, because I definitely have the answer. It took me 16 years to connect with other writers. I don't know what kept me back from doing that earlier. I have a friend, Kitty Feldy, very good friend of mine. She's also a middle grade author. She does the podcast for kids, the book club podcast for kids. She told me early on, get in a critique group, find other writers. And I'm like, no, I'm doing this myself. And that did not serve me at all. It just kept me, 20 years, because it was really, like I said, about maybe 3 or 4 years ago that I finally started doing that. That's what I would tell myself. Connect with other writers. Get as much input as you can from anybody who's willing to give it. You'll know when you don't need it anymore. That's how I knew that not from critique partners. I always need critique partners. I always need beta readers. But I don't need to go on writers' forums anymore and post my first chapter. I don't need to do that anymore, because for Summer of Luck, I noticed that I was starting to get advice to change things that I knew didn't need to be changed anymore. And I knew that's when I was done getting that kind of information. But when you're starting a book, or when you're in the process of it, if someone has some information to share with you, a reaction, as long as they're not telling you you suck and as long as they're not telling you that you can't write and you need to stop, listen to what they're saying. You never know. So,
well, if they're saying that, I would posit they are the ones who suck. There we are.
Also, the other thing is, just to give myself a break here, in 2000, 2001 or whatever, when my journey began, there was no whatever. Twitter, was there Twitter back then? I don't think so. There was an internet, but it wasn't like it is today. And that's also, there's all these resources now that there never were online. You'd have to go to a library or whatever. It's all there. Just check it out. Read what other people are doing. Not just books. I mean, find an author to follow on Twitter or Facebook or somewhere, and see, an author that you think is a worthy author to follow, and what are they doing? That's what I look to see. If somebody's got a story on some blog that I'd never heard of, I'm checking it out. If someone proposes that someone on this podcast or this blog is looking for authors to interview, I just do it, because why not? Down the road, I'm sure I will be a little more I won't be able to give as much time as some of the Q&As take. But right now, I'm taking advantage of every opportunity that I can, as long as the blog isn't some poorly written, one follower on Twitter type writer, I mean, you have to start somewhere, but
you could reach that follower.